27th of October. It's a gorgeous fall day here today, although it is very cold and it is a little bit overcast, but at least it's not raining. It was raining here yesterday. Raining and cold. Raining and cold does not bode well with me. I am frozen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So yeah, if it's not raining and it's still cold, at least I can dress for that. I'm having my morning coffee. My kids are off to school. The hubby is gone to work, and I thought it was a good opportunity for me to sit down and do a quick little update video, although I do not have much to update on. So, what we're going to talk about during this video. I had a fabric order that arrived. I have an update on a whip, and I have some upcoming plans, and I have a new little tag to throw in at the end of the video. So, let's get right to it. Now, to start with, first thing, I'm not really into stash enhancement. I don't tend to, as I put it, I don't tend to hoard stash. I buy stash as I need it for a specific project, usually. The only thing I will really buy is fabric. Like if I see a nice piece of fabric that I'd like to have, I will get it, only because it's really difficult to get nice fabric here. So last video, I had mentioned that I want a gift certificate for 123 Stitch from Lucas's channel. I think that's his first name. And he goes by Brochet on YouTube. B-R-O-C-H-E-T, Brochet. Anyway, the fabric order had not arrived. That's what I used my gift certificate for, because it's hard to get really nice fabrics here, and it hadn't arrived by my last video, so I couldn't show it to you. So, it showed up. Let's see. So, I ordered fabrics. I was going to order like lovely hand-dyed fabrics first, and then I was thinking, they're like more expensive, and I wanted to get the most bang for my buck kind of thing. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to order white and like off-white fabric, and then I can always dye it myself. Because you know me, if there's anything, if you can jump in with both feet right into the deep end, I'm all for it. So if I need to hand dye this myself, I will. And otherwise, I'll just use it as it is. But what I ordered, and it showed up, and it's lovely. 2 lovely pieces of fabric. I ordered 25 count white Lugana, 18 by 27. And just to give you an idea of the size, that's the size. So nice size piece of fabric. It'll come in lovely for a larger project. It's 25 count. So for me, on 25 count, I would stitch over 1 on this. Yeah, it's lovely. It's a beautiful white piece of fabric, and it's really nice texture to it. Then I also purchased a piece of 32 count antique white Lugana. It's the exact same size, just the color is different because this is antique white and the other one is white. So this one's the 32 count and this is the 25 count. So beautiful pieces of fabric. So thanks again so much for the gift certificate, because it was lovely. Those will be used for some beautiful project, I'm sure. I just haven't decided what yet, but they will be used for something. So that's the only stash enhancement, because I, like I say, don't really buy stash usually. Okay, next thing. Whip update. Whip update. So my last video, I mentioned that I was getting a bit, I guess, worried that I was running out of time for my father's project. As you all know, I'm doing a piece for my dad for his 70th birthday of a boat that he actually hand built himself from scratch. Like, cut the wood, made the lumber, steamed and bent the keel. Like, he did everything himself, everything from the ground up. So, yeah, he built this thing, by the way, for anyone who might be interested, which you're probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. He built this thing. My parents have a huge piece of land that overlooks Trinity Bay. Like, there's a huge meadow behind their house, and then it's a straight drop right into the ocean, right into Trinity Bay. The drop behind their house is about 250 feet. Yeah, it's about 250 feet or 300 feet. Anyway, he built this boat on the meadow, out at the end of their meadow behind their house, which the entire community can, when you come around this big turn, you look up. That's the only thing you can see is my parents' house. It's the only thing up on this big hill. That's it. So, you know, the big thing was going around that, you know, everyone was wondering what he was building. He thought he was losing his mind and trying to build Noah's Ark up on top of the hill, preparing for the flood. Anywho, his boat turned out lovely. He built a really nice little cabin cruiser. You know, it's got a cabin, and down underneath there's a galley with just, you know, the table goes down into a bunk. So it's just enough room for him and Mom to go and do a little, you know, put around the harbor or go on a little overnight trip somewhere, and they can sleep on the boat. It's, yeah, really lovely little boat he built. It's beautiful. Anywho, that's what I'm stitching. So I will insert a picture of where it was the last time. And this is my progress. Here we go. So there we go. There's my progress on Dad's piece. I can see the end in sight. It's getting there. I have 2/3 or a little better than halfway of the bottom done. So I only have this other section here to do, which is basically the back of the boat and the bit of water surrounding it. I really like this. I didn't know what that was first, because you know when you're stitching and your face is, you know, close to the fabric. I was like, why am I putting this dark in here? That's the ripples. That's the wake from the behind the boat when he's coming in the harbor. So that's going to be nice. That's like the ripples in the water. And it was the same thing when I started stitching these. Actually, do you know what? Now that I'm holding this back, I don't know if you guys can see it. Do you see this line? This line that goes along here with these little gray bits? That's actually, these are little silver anchors on the boat. And this is actually the rope that goes in through each of those little anchors. So when he wants to walk up this edging to the front of the boat to jump off on shore, to pull it in to the shore, he has something to hold on to when he comes around the front of the boat. I didn't notice that until now. I did not, like, I can see it like this, bare, like, it just looks like shading on the edge of the boat, but when you hold it way back, you can see it. That's cool. That is really cool. I'm really pleased with that. I never noticed it before. Maybe I should take pictures of my work from a distance from now on. Anyway, so that is my dad's boat. It is coming along beautifully. I have no doubt that I will have it finished in time, but I'm not working on any more whips either until this is done. Because I don't want to get into that panicked feeling again of not having it finished. So yeah. So I'm going to get this finished, and then I will be back to regular whip updates. So until then, you're just going to have to bear with me, and I'll bore you to death with that one whip that I'm doing. It's so exciting. Okay, so because I'm only working on that whip right now, every other piece that I have is suffering. I'm not a huge, like, have a million whips on the go at one time kind of girl. However, I do have, like, I feel like I've got a million whips on the go at one time. And I've decided that there's a couple other pieces that I want to start. I know, I'm, like I said, losing my mind. So my upcoming plans. For the remainder of this year and into, I guess, the start of 2016, because a lot of people have been talking about what their plans are coming up. Finish Dad's project by the end of November. That's a must because his birthday's the 12th of December and it has to be framed by then. So finish Dad's boat by then. Then once that is done, like if I finish that early, if I finish it earlier than that, which I'm hoping to have it done earlier than the end of November, I'll go back to my regular rotation, which currently would consist of my Haid. Oh, I can't wait to get back to my Haid. I cannot stress how much I love working on that piece. So I want to get back to my Haid, then my Wrecker and my Wrecker Girls piece, because I'm just loving the colors in that piece. It is so vibrant. Then, to replace Dad's piece, I have 2 other projects that I want to start. So that way I'll have 1 project per week for 4 weeks of every month. So I'll just rotate them. So the 2 extra projects I want to start, once Dad's is finished, I want to start my Monopoly board. As you all know, thank you to the lovely Flosstube community. With some assistance, I ended up getting a copy of, I ended up loaning, I was borrowed, that's not right. Someone loaned me their original copy of the Monopoly board pattern from like 1980, I want to say 85, it might have been 83 or 87. Anyway, I think it was 85. So she loaned me her chart. She sent it to me in the mail. I utilized portions of her chart, the original chart, to complete a chart that I was in the process of making myself. So the Monopoly logo, I utilized like the section of the chart for the man to help me figure out, get my head around, the man, and a couple of little designs like the railway guy and the get out of jail free guy. So I finished charting it. I made the chart myself. Charted everything else myself and all of that. So So I want to start my Monopoly board pattern. So I want to get that done. So that's on my list of new starts. And then the other piece I want to work on, another new start I want to do, I'll tell you about that one in a second, is another full coverage piece. That is a piece done by a local artist here. And I'll talk about that now in a second. And then lastly, as you all know, I always take a whip to work with me. Now the last 2 weeks I've been taking Dad's project to work with me and stitching on it in hand at work because I haven't been dragging my frame and all that kind of stuff. But I'll still have my work project. So my work projects will be my Pose sampler, which I started for the Halloween sale on Stitch Mania. But I just started. I started it that one day on the 1st of October, and then that was it. It got put to one side. I showed it in my last video. It hasn't been picked up since because I've been concentrating on Dad's project. So that'll turn into my new, I guess, work piece. And I'll have the Clouds Factory piece finished as well. So my 4 whips at home will be, that I'll rotate through each week, will be Record Girls, my Haid, my Monopoly board, and this new piece that I'm going to start from a local artist here. And then my work projects will be the 5th whip that I'm working on. But again, that only gets worked on at work. Like, it could take me a year to do it because, whenever I have downtime on my lunch break or in the middle of the night, I work on that. So, the local artist piece that I'm talking about. I stumbled upon a picture that I absolutely fell in love with on, it wasn't Instagram, must have been on Facebook. Anyway, it's a painting that's done by a local artist here in Newfoundland. His name is Adam Young. You can check him out, Young Studios in Newfoundland. He paints these beautiful pictures that are really, really vibrant colors. And I've always kind of had a liking for like little fishing villages kind of looking stuff, and fishing stages, little cabins, all those sorts of things. And I also love the look of, you know, Aurora Borealis, right? The Northern Lights. Anyway, he did this piece of work, painting on canvas that's called Quiet Frost. I fell in love with the picture. I was like, oh my God, that would be so gorgeous as a cross stitch. So I sent him a message via Facebook, explained to him who I was, where I'm from, that I am like, you know, do counted cross stitch. And I was really interested in turning his piece into a cross stitch, if he would allow me to do so. Well, he sent me back this beautiful message, so excited. He said, fill your boots, go right to town, make a pattern, make a chart, stitch it for yourself. Like, he didn't give me permission to share the chart, so don't ask. I will not be sharing the chart. But he gave me permission to go ahead and stitch it for myself. So I will be showing you my whip updates. He is so enthusiastic. He was like, you know, make sure you send me pictures of your progress. I'd love to see it develop, all of that sort of stuff. So again, his name is Adam Young from Young Studios, and the painting is called Quiet Frost. So I'll insert a picture of it here just so you can see it. Okay, so that is going to be my fourth piece in my whip rotation, is Quiet Frost. So we'll see how I get with that, because my Record Girls piece, my Hay project, and that one are all going to be full coverage pieces. My Monopoly board will not be a full coverage piece, so that should break up, you know, the parking and all of that for me a little bit. And my work project, of course, is usually something a little more simple, so that won't be a full coverage piece. Okay, so next thing, upcoming tags. There are 3 tags currently that I've seen that I want to do, and I will be doing a separate video with those tags. Actually, there's 4 tags, because Julie put one out yesterday. I think it was yesterday. So MN Chaos did a tag called the Chaotic Tag. I do want to do that. I will be doing that. So that's one. The second one is Carolina S, or Carolina. I'm not sure how she pronounces her first name, Carolina. She did a tag called the Fun Little Tag. I want to do that one. Of course, Molly and Joe, the Jolly Show, as I've heard some people refer to it as. They did Stitching Friend Tag, so I am going to complete that one. And last but definitely not least, Julie put out this really cool Halloween tag yesterday, and I just thought it was a great idea, and I loved it. So I am going to do the Halloween tag as well. I just thought it was really cute. So those will be coming up. I will do those. I don't know if I'll do all 4 of the tags in the same video, but I might break them up into 2 separate videos and have like 2 tags in one video and then 2 tags in another video. Haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet. So they will be coming up. And last but not least, why not add an extra tag to the mix? I have always been curious about other people's crafting talents. I stitch, but stitching is not my only craft. It happens to be the craft that I am the most passionate about at the moment, and have been for a few months now, but I have all kinds of other crafts that I do. So I think Mandot Stitches, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I watched her last video and she said the same thing. She said, I've noticed there's a lot of other stitchers that do other crafts, but we don't tend to showcase our other crafts. And I'm curious. I'm curious what you guys do. So, this is my crafting tag. Question number 1 is going to be, do you do any other crafts besides counted cross stitch? If your answer is yes, I want you to tell me what they are and give us a little showcase of them. I'd like to see some of your other craft work besides your cross stitch. I'd like to see, you know, any of your knitted projects, or because some people do show like the odd piece of knitting that they've done or what have you, but I'd kind of like to see what other crafts you do. So if you do any other crafts, what are they? And give us a little show and tell of them. If you don't do other crafts, if your answer is no, answer the question, are there any other crafts that you want to try? That you want to, you know, give a go, or that you're interested in? So that's the 2 questions. It's not really 2 questions. It's 1 question, and you can answer either yes or no. And if you answer it yes, I want you to showcase your stuff. And if you answer it no, then I want you to tell me if there's any other, actually I want you to tell me if there's any other crafts that you are interested in, or do you have any other hobbies then, other than the stitching? So that's a crafting tag, really quick and simple. My answer to the question is yes, I have lots of other crafts that I do. So I'm going to give you a little sampling of them. And then that'll be it. If you're only here for the stitchy stuff, close it up. We're done. So I do my counted cross stitch. I have done rug hooking, but haven't done that in a while now, and I don't really have any pieces to show. Like, that was just a, you know, thing. But I am a paper crafter. I scrapbook, I make cards, and stationery, and I also have made my own planner. I made myself a Midori. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Midori, but Midori is a notebook, like a traveler's notebook, where you can, you know, you stuff it full of like tickets or bits and pieces of memorabilia that you collect, and there's calendars in it. You can fill out, you know, your daily planners or your monthly planners, and there's also blank notebooks that go in them. And anyway, they're pretty expensive to buy, and I made my own, and I make all my own refills for it and everything. So that's one thing. I'm a paper crafter. I'm also a crocheter. I can knit, but I don't enjoy knitting. I love seeing stuff that people have knit, but it's just not my thing. It's the 2 needles, and I can't keep my tension straight. I can't keep my tension right. It's just not for me. Like, it's hilarious. I knit one sweater. One sweater in all my years. I've knit one sweater. It turned out okay. You know, I had to get my mother to help me to sew, put the sleeves on. It was just, anyway. I completed it, and I can say that I knit a sweater. And that was about 20 years ago. And I will probably never knit another sweater. But I do crochet a lot. Hats, mitts, scarves. What do you call them? Like cover-ups, wraps, little vests or shawls, or anyway. If you could come up with a way for it to be crocheted, I've probably crocheted it. Blankets, baby things, baby sweaters and booties and hats, and yeah, I've done it all. So I'll just show you a couple pieces that I have here with me. This thing, this multicolored thing, this is what I call my blarf. Blarf. It's a blanket scarf. So you can wear it as a scarf if you wanted to. Or you can use it as a wrap. When I'm stitching and I get chilly, I have this on as a wrap. Or you can throw it over your legs, fold it up as a blanket. As just a little lap blanket. So it's a really loose, really easy stitch using, some people call it treble crochet and some people call it triple crochet. But that's all it is just a treble crochet stitch. And then I just single stitched around the edge. And it's got a lot of give to it. So I really like it. And you'd be surprised at how warm that is. And then I just added a fringe on the end. So that's one piece. I've done a lot of infinity scarves and stuff like that. Actually, I'll grab one to show you. Hang on. There we go. So I don't remember what this stitch, actually I don't know if this stitch has a name per se. Hang on, let me get this straightened out here. This is an infinity scarf I made. It's just one big circle. It's actually a knockoff of a Forever 21 scarf that you could buy. And I really like the look of it. So I went ahead and stitched one up for myself. And because I'm cold all the time, this thing is great. It goes on my neck. I wear it around. I wear it. I go to work and leave this thing on my neck. Like, I'm always cold. So that's my infinity scarves. I've done a bunch of those. I've given them as gifts. I've sold them. I've done it all. And I actually just finished a big project. The Special Olympics, Canadian Special Olympics, actually the Newfoundland Labrador contingent of the Special Olympics. They are hosting the 2016 Special Olympics here in Newfoundland, the Canadian Special Olympics. And they thought it would be nice if every single athlete that attends the Special Olympics from all over Canada could receive a hand knit or hand crocheted item. And so they put a call out to knitters and crocheters everywhere to make scarves. The only criteria was the scarves had to be green, red, and yellow, or green, red, and gold. And they had to be 6 feet, I think it was, in length. No, not 6 feet. 60 inches in length, not including a fringe. And they had to be 7 inches wide. So I've done a bunch of scarves. Some are plain like this, with just the color on the bottom. Some are, and this is just a, oh, you can't really see that really well. There. Some are like this. Some have different patterns. Some are done on the diagonal. I did them all kinds of different ways and shapes and everything. So I currently have 14 of these downstairs, all done and washed and fringed and in plastic bags to drop off to the Special Olympics office. They will be going out this week, so I can drop them off. That was a project that I worked on most of last winter, and I just finished it up recently because I had some scarves made that I didn't have fringes put on the ends of them. So I have those done now. And lastly, the last current project that I have is a blanket. It's a granny square pattern, but instead of doing individual granny squares to make, you know, and you sew them all together, it's just one massive granny square. So I'm currently stitching this out of, it started out using pieces of leftover yarn, and so that's why it's every different color, because whatever yarn I had in my stash that I was trying to use up, I just threw it into this blanket. So the blanket's getting huge. It's quite big. The intent was to make one large enough that I can actually put it on my bed in the wintertime. So yeah, so I'm in the middle of stitching that, and like I said, it's getting huge now. It's getting really big. but it's so warm. Oh my gosh. If anybody has a crocheted Afghan, you cannot get a warmer blanket for bedding than that. Okay, so that's that. So I'll show you a couple of things. So my Midori that I made, I do this. This is leather. Poked a hole in the leather, put in the charms and the elastics to keep it closed up. Like so. That's my little charm for the front. My fountain pen, because, you know, what kind of girl loves stationery and doesn't love a good fountain pen? You know, ridiculous, right? And then the inside, these are the inserts. You can see them in there. I make these myself. So there's different inserts. And this is like my calendar one, for example. I don't know how well you can see this. And they're all held in, see, with elastic. That's the way a Midori works. So these can just slip out and you can just pull them out and pop them back in. You know, there's fold-out calendars for me. Then there's, you know, other booklets in here with, can't really see it, with like, you know, weekly planners, blank pages for notes, all of that. Yearly calendars, pockets at the back for my little stickies and stuff, folders for putting different things in that I need. Look, a fax. A fax. Who faxes anything anymore? Seriously. Right? I don't even know what that is. Anyway, I can throw it in the garbage because, you know. Yeah. So that's my Midori. That I made myself. Part of my paper crafting technique. And the last thing I'll show you is my scrapbooking. I scrapbook and have been doing so ever since my kids were babies. So I'll just switch the camera around to show you my albums because they're big albums. I do them in 12 by 12 format. Okay? And you know, actually I can probably just show you really quickly like this. And I won't need to switch the camera around. I do them in 12 by 12 format. This is my son's. Actually, you know what? They're heavy. I'm going to lay them down and show them to you that way. Might be easier. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to work for me to turn the camera around because then I get this horrible glare off the pages. So I'm just going to do it this way. So this is my son's album. Okay. Just to give you an idea, so this is my scrapbooking. I don't like having just regular picture albums. I prefer to do this sort of thing with my photographs. And I journal right on my pages so that all the memories that go along with the pictures are actually on the page. So when my kids are all grown up and they can look back through these pictures, they know exactly where they were taken, when they were taken, what trip we were on, where we were at the time. Yeah, all of that stuff. So, yeah. So this is my son's album. And I won't flip through the whole thing, but, right? So that's his. I have one set of albums per kid. One for Marshall and one for Emma. This is Emma's first album. It's a pink one. Of course, it's pink. Put that over there, out of the way. So this is Emmy's album. Yeah, and I love, like I said, I love writing in my albums. Oh yeah, there's me pregnant. Yeah, that's real pretty. So this is when yeah, look, oh, real pretty. Okay. Yeah, so this is just an idea of, now this is when I first started scrapbooking, so pages were not as decorative. Like the further I get along, the more creative I get, the more colors I've used. But yeah, that's just like what I like to do with my, with my pictures. I like to, horrible glare. I just like to put them in albums this way rather than putting them in a regular, photo album. that's my scrapbooking. So yeah, those are the crafts that I do. Those are my main ones. My crochet, my cross stitch, and my scrapbooking, and my paper crafting. Like, and the paper crafting is like, you know, I do some things like the Midoris and cards. I do make handmade cards. I don't make cross stitch cards. I just can't see me putting that much time and effort into stitching something and putting it on a card, and then you know, the person's probably not going to keep it, or maybe they will keep it, but yeah, I just, you know, I make paper craft cards only because I have all of this stuff at my fingertips. Like, I have all of the papers and the supplies and the, yeah, so I make that stuff. So there you have it. That's my video for this month. Not a whole lot to show you. I'm sorry on my whips because I didn't touch anything this month other than my dad's. So hopefully next month, the end of November, you will see a completed project from me, as well as maybe a couple updates, I don't know, on some other whips. Anywho, have a great day, have a great stitching week, and a great stitching month, and we'll see you again soon. Bye!